Tron Ares is indeed a good film. I liked it. Don't listen to the tomato meter critics, though. 54%, 86 by the audience. So that means that this is a crowd pleaser. And Tron Ares, it tells the tale of a highly sophisticated program, Ares. He is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission. So, if you saw the trailers for this, you saw that Jared Leto is in the lead of this one, and he plays this figure from the digital world that comes out into the real world, and it's kind of like, how does this work? I thought that he was going to be playing the main bad guy, but it's kind of like he's the bad program, yes, but then he grows a conscience. And that's pretty much what this movie's about. As he disobeys his programming, then he gets all of these other programs sent after him. And I thought this was a fairly bold film, considering that a lot of people were expecting a sequel to Tron Legacy. And I found myself not missing Tron Legacy at all, because this movie was good enough to keep me engaged from the start. It gave us some very familiar tones and scenes that we recognized from like that old Tron universe. And yes, it's like, well, how could it be Tron without Tron? Well, guys, you got to let the story evolve a little bit here. Let them show you what they're doing. And then once the soundtrack kicks in from Nine Inch Nails, it's like, okay, no, I'm on board with this. And I just found myself fully engaged in this film from start to finish. And this movie comes in just under 2 hours, an hour and 59 minutes. The standouts here have to be the visual effects. Okay, no, let me rephrase. The standout here is the soundtrack. Nine Inch Nails. All right, there it is. Then the visuals. The visuals, without a doubt, are some of the things that you'll be looking for in this, and you'll want to see all the cool action sequences, how the recognizer comes out into the real world, and how that kind of all evolve. Because when you see it and you see all of that stuff unfold, it's just cool. It's like, wow. I didn't think that I would be liking this movie that much. And I heard the early buzz from the critics. The critics were kind of like putting their nose up at it and saying, this stinks. This isn't really what I wanted from the film. Well, you have to be able to pull yourself out of that, guys, and say, okay, well, if it's not exactly what you wanted, is it a cohesive film? And yes, this is. And what I like about this is that it's not trying to like set up the next film. All of this is not trying to set up the next film. This is a self-contained story in its own, and it ends in a place where, okay, now it can go into another story, but we just don't know what that story will be, which is kind of cool. I like that. They finally made one cohesive story instead of like clickbaiting you with some kind of weird cliffhanger ending and be like, well, are we going to get the second one or are we not? I want to see more of Jared Leto as Ares, because I thought he did a good job, and I didn't think that I would be liking this film as much as I did. I was like, I was in the theater watching it and like, okay, when is this terrible stuff going to happen? When is this terrible storyline plot going to happen where I'm going to turn up my nose? And I never got to that point watching Tron Ares. I never got there. So before we go back to the tomato meter and take a look at all the critics' ratings and stuff, let's take a quick look at my score sheet for Tron Ares. Now, if you don't know how this works, acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of possible 1 point. Acting, overall, it's well done. Greta Lee, also a huge standout in this. And then, so is Athena, actually. Athena, actress in this. She did a fantastic job too. Let's just run down the cast here quickly before we get into this. Jeff Bridges is in this. Evan Peters, Julian Dillinger, Jodie Turner-Smith. Gillian Anderson is in this also. Really well done. Now, I was looking at the Tron Legacy cast and I was thinking, okay, is this Julian Dillinger the same character that Cillian Murphy was playing in Tron Legacy? You remember Cillian Murphy showed up in that boardroom and he played one of the Dillingers, but he was Edward Dillinger, right? And I was hoping that it would be like the same character, maybe just a recast. but it's Julian Dillinger. So they changed it. Maybe the Edward Dillinger was the sister of Elizabeth Dillinger. So there's still a lot of stuff there for them to uh, mine. Like they could still have Cillian Murphy come back in the next one. Like I don't see what like there's that possibility. That's what this movie did. It opened up the possibility of the Tron world, and I got to say that I was very happy about that. It made things uh, dangerous, tangible, and thought provoking. As kind of like, okay, well, if they can come out into our world, like what aspects of their technology will work in our world? Like, obviously, a recognizer is going to be able to work in this world. And the light cycles. Well, how does that work? And the director has been putting out these behind the scenes stuff, kind of like how he put all this together, and it's been great material. But I digress. Let's go back to the score sheet here because I was talking about acting, and I'll wrap that one up. I'll say for cohesiveness here, I'm going to give 1.5. There's nothing Oscar worthy. Evan Peters is maybe like pushing it just a touch too much on the cheesy mustache twirling bad guy pulling his hair out at the end, but it's like I thought it was okay because the directing, the technical aspects in this was handled very well. The acting, the execution of the story, I felt the pacing was done very well. But then I'm going to also attribute, like, because he's been publishing these behind the scenes stuff where you get to see him articulate how he was going to accomplish some of the shots that he was doing. I'm like, no, this is a good effort here. Joachim Roning, right? Uh, story overall, I think maybe could be the weakest part, but it's so straightforward. It's not a grandiose, we're trying to take over the world type of thing. It's just kind of like this program gets out and wants to be free. And then it's kind of like the Dillinger people are coming after him to get him, right? So it's pretty straightforward. I do reserve the right to come back to it, though. Cinematography, and hey, if you saw the trailers, you know that this is beautifully filmed. It looks great. And the soundtrack, we're going to bump that up to a full point because Nine Inch Nails, once again, brings it, man. I was listening to the soundtrack before the movie came out, and I was like, okay, I like the tone, but it's not one that I really want to listen to over and over again. But this is the kind of soundtrack that fits the movie. It fits the imagery that you're seeing on the screen. That's the kind of soundtrack this is. And then, of course, when they played their big song there at the end, too. It's fantastic. So we're sitting at a 6 out of 10 right now. And I want to go over to the tomato meter again and take a look at what people are saying here for Tron Ares and see if they can kind of echo what I've been trying to say here. So, Critic reviews. There are some cool scenes within the grid, and Nine Inch Nails music turns those scenes into great music videos stuck in a mediocre, if not outright bad movie. No, it's not a bad movie. I didn't think that. So I don't agree with that. New York Post. 43 years later, Tron Ares is groundbreaking for the first Tron film without discernible plot. But they liked it? No, it's got a pretty decent plot. So you can see the mix here between the critics, right? Another visually appealing and emotionally unsatisfying. No, it's not. Get out of here with that. The reader. Honestly, if I weren't for the Leto of all of it, Tron Ares would be a delightful, over-budgeted B-movie with a killer soundtrack and nothing to say but look how pretty. Well, why does everything have to have this big, huge message of we're going to save the world or, you know what, treat your neighbor nicely? No, this is just like... It's so small and contained in a way that it's like this is exactly what I wanted. I needed right now is Tron Ares. I don't need something that's so grandiose that the fate of the world is going to be taken over because AI is out of control. I didn't need one of those stories. That's not what this story is about. But the audience did like it, right? Visually fun to watch and entertaining. We enjoyed the movie and they did a good job with the storyline as it relates to the previous movies. And it does. We would recommend this. And it does, guys. This movie does relate to the other movies. It does reference it. But if you're going into this movie saying, okay, no, I only want to see Garrett Hedlund and Cora. I forget what this is. It's Sam. Uh, I'm sorry. I don't know why people are complaining about Garrett Hedlund. The guy uh, has the charisma of a vacuum cleaner. He's just not that entertaining to watch. Um, Olivia Wilde pops. She like look at that. Like you just want to see. Maybe it's her eyes, but there's just something in her presence that you're just like, I want to see what she's doing. Garrett Hedlund, I could give two rats patooties. I mean, it's just cringeworthy. I don't understand why so many people are hung up on him. And if you can get past that, uh, this movie does give nods to it, for sure. And it explains why this movie's not about that. It really does. This movie explains why we're not following that storyline right now. And they totally weave in a really good reason for there to be a return of the Flynn character. And how they do it is also very logical. There's some good dialogue in here between Jared Leto and Flynn. You can see here on this shot from the trailer that, oh, is he a little bit see-through there, guys? Well, they explain it. And that's what I like about this movie. They explain things to you. One critic that I do admire, that I do want to pull from the list here, Jeremy Johns. He didn't like it. Weird. Solid soundtrack and action sequences and visuals, but the nothing below the surface of all that. But nothing below the surface of all that. See, I can't agree with that. There's is a heart to this film, and the heart is that this AI development of Ares got all these directives saying, do this, do that, and then he just stops to ask why. Why am I going to do that? And then he's like, go kill that person. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then, like, I found that fascinating because I guess I'm tired of this doomsday AI storyline that every film has to spit out. It's like not all AI is going to act like that, guys. There are going to be instances where this will happen, where there will be like an AI that won't want to do that. And I found it refreshing, found it very enjoyable. All right, before I lose my voice here, I think you get the point. That being said, let's go back to my score sheet and wrap things up here for the watchability factor of Tron Ares. So the watchability factor is out of 2 points. And if you are curious about Tron and this world, of course you want to check this out. Now, I saw it in the 3D AVX. I didn't see it in the IMAX. I saw it in the 3D big sound theater because I wanted to make sure that I got a good soundtrack because of the Nine Inch Nails. But like 3D, I guess it sort of worked, but it's kind of like I could have done without it. There was a few things that were kind of neat when the light cycles were doing their stuff. I just felt like overall, you could do without the 3D. I am curious about seeing it in the IMAX though. I would champion seeing this in the IMAX. Maybe not in the IMAX 3D with the vibrating seats because that's going to be costing you like $35. But I would totally watch this movie again, and I would say that I would even have this movie in my collection because I enjoyed it that much. I have the original Tron on Blu-ray as well. Of course, I've got it on Disney Plus. 8 out of 10 for Tron Ares. And I'm acknowledging here, guys, that the story may be the weakest part for some people, but I think this is a good score. I feel good about this. 8 out of 10 for Tron Ares. What do you guys think? Do you see this movie? Do you want to see this movie? Do you believe the hype? Do you believe all the criticisms? Are you sad that that Cora is not going to be in this film? I would just say this: stay through the credits. There is one mid-credit scene, and it is totally worthwhile seeing. And I liked what they did with that mid-credit scene because it does sort of tee up what they could do next with the story without saying, okay, well, using that Marvel formula. Well, I guess maybe it sort of does. But if you're upset that you didn't see enough Tron Legacy stuff in Tron Ares. You know that they're setting things up for maybe the worlds to collide, and I found that satisfactory for me. All right, what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. If you like this kind of thing, we've also reviewed movies like The Strangers Chapter 2 and The Baltimoreans and The Smashing Machine with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That's up on the channel right now. And I'll see you next time, right here on Mirror Domains.